Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a lovely Sunday morning. It's nice to see you in the morning for a change. It's my first morning live. I actually prefer to do it in the morning, but I thought I would do that too so that more people from the US, I don't think the UK, it's a good time, but more people from around the world can join. So good morning, everyone. Hello, welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Sabina. I am a kinesiologist and spiritual mentor. What I mean by spiritual is bigger picture. So predominantly that's what I help clients to do, help people to do. Hope my messages and lives and posts do is to help connect you with the bigger picture and to help you remind you where your power is no matter where you find yourself. So as you come in, welcome. Please let me know if you can hear me okay, if the sound is okay, and I will get started. So today's topic is living in the solution. This has come about from two posts that I have made recently. And one was, I'm not sure if you saw the video, but there was I saw a comment on a post on here on Instagram, and the person had said, well, what's the solution? Where are all these leaders? All these people have put their hands up to lead, and now where are you leading us? What's the solution? And who she was talking about was a lot of people in the truther movement, in the kind of people who are just sharing stuff, people who probably just started sharing stuff and have found themselves with a reasonable sized platform, who never put their hand up to lead, who never said, come and follow me. And so that post got me to do a video a couple of days ago where I said, it's time to lead ourselves. Stop looking for leaders. These people haven't offered to lead you. And so hence, and then another couple of things that I've seen. So this is why living in the solution, because we've been living in the realm of the problem for quite some time now. Hey, Jess, we've been living in the realm of the problem for quite some time now. And it's time to move to the solution. We're all feeling it. Many people are frustrated. They're exhausted. Now, if you're here for the first time and you're like, hey, Haruka, if you're here for the first time and you're thinking, what is she talking about? Anything where you find yourself frustrated, okay? So it could be about what's currently going on in the world, in the whole world. It might be what's currently going on in your house. It could be what's currently going on in your mind. Start to live the solution. This is what I want to focus on today. I'm going to share with you a little bit, but at any point in time, put up a question, ask questions throughout, and I've had a couple of things come in that I want to talk about as well. So how do we live in the solution? How do we do that? Okay. Oh, thank you, Haruka. You're doing that for Jess. Thank you so much. Okay. What has been happening on this planet? What has been happening? What happens in our minds, and now we're seeing it on the macro, is that all of the messaging has been to our ego. And so our egos, we're predominantly living in our ego. They're bulging. They're powerful in most people's minds, in most people's lives, in most communities, and in how we're seeing people react. Ego, meaning the part of our mind that is the least evolved and that predominantly focuses on fear, is the part that's thriving. We are thriving societies of ego-led beings. And I want you to start to understand that you are not your ego. We all have one, but we are not that. So I want you to start putting ego to one side and picture it like it's a room. There's a door and you can open it up to that room. Then I want you to imagine like a center middle part. That's you. That's where you reside, the you that is above all of this. And then on the other side, I want you to imagine another door. And that leads to your wisdom, your higher self, our collective wisdom. I like to call it right mind. I got that from A Course in Miracles. It resonated with me immediately. I love it because it reminds me when I'm in ego, I'm literally not in my right mind. So I want you to imagine on the one side, we've got ego in each of our minds, but also collectively. Then in the center, there is you, me, the bigger us. And then on the other side, we have access to all of this wisdom. And we have access to our higher selves. What the powers on this planet have been doing for a long time, the lower density, the greed, the power, the power over rather than power within, the manipulation, has all been focused on our ego. Not just when it comes as fear messaging, but also in all of the advertisement, all of the beauty industry, the well-being industry, all of it. Anything that speaks to you are less than, anything that speaks to you are flawed, anything that speaks to your body will try and kill you. So the medical industry, psychiatry, all of it has focused the messaging on our egos for millennia. So we are primed to come from that aspect of us. Now you can take this from the individual and the collective. We're seeing it in the collective at the moment. All that conflict, right? So let's go into that room. Let's open the door and go into that room. In that room is where mainstream media lives. It's where a lot of social media lives. All the narratives about them and us, all the narratives about, all the things they feed us. They hijack different narratives. They go in with an intention to trigger your ego by saying, they don't like you. They want to take that from you. They want to control you. And there's the they changes depending on who they're talking to. If they're talking to women, the they is men. If they're talking to men, the they might be women. If they're talking to white people, the they is brown, black people. If they're, whoever they're talking to, they'll tailor it to make an other. So to keep that conflict alive. Now we're all waking up to aspects of that. We're seeing it. Some of us see it here, some of us see it here, some of us see it here. Nobody sees it everywhere. Okay, I can promise you, no matter how awake we think we are, no matter how anything we think we are, we can't yet see all of it, which is why we still get triggered. But what we've all been doing, me included, every single one of us to a degree, is we open that door. We walk in, and most people, when they're in that room, in that realm, forget who they are. Hi, Sue. Hi, everyone that's joined. Forget who we are. We go in there and we forget our power. And we just get triggered. We get triggered by the news. We get triggered by social media. We get triggered by all of it. When we're in there, we're living in the problem. Now, we might be sharing it, and that's great. We might be sharing posts and helping people to understand things in a way they didn't before. That's great. That's not necessarily living in the problem. But if that's all you're ever doing, you haven't yet moved to the solution, and it's time for us all to move to the solution. Because what we're finding in that realm, it's becoming more and more uncomfortable. It feels like shit. And so people are attacking whoever is making them feel that way, whoever they feel is making them feel that way, or they're attacking that organization or attacking, all the different structures, the police, the law, politicians, the whole government, medicine, school structure, attacking it because it's making me feel, ugh. Now that's great, because it's toxic. So it's really good that we're all kind of waking up to varying feelings of, okay, that feels like shit. But here's where we get caught. We then look to the thing that makes us feel like shit and we go, okay, so I need them to know they're making me feel like shit. Now that's very counterproductive if the organization is designed to keep you from your power. If the whole narrative is on purpose, then there's not much point continually saying to them, this is wrong. Also, it's important. Let's take the VX. What is it here for? What is it designed for? You know what? My answer to that isn't even dependent on what it's actually here for. But here's what I would say to you. The minute you're triggered by messaging into fear, you have forgotten who you are. And because that's happening to just about everybody, not everybody, to a large degree of the population, they're either triggered by the fear of not being able to get it and becoming unwell, or not being able to travel, or losing your job and not knowing how to pay your bills, or they're being triggered by having to have it. I want you to really understand. Forget the words that are used. Forget who's bringing you the message. If the message comes, not so much if the message makes you feel frightened, because that's your thing, but if the message comes wrapped in fear, start to understand this is not the solution, this is the problem. This is still in the problem. And we're focusing, this is why everyone's so exhausted, because we're focusing our attention onto the problem, onto the problem, onto the problem. How are we going to get them to change? How are we going to get that system to get it? How are we going to get politicians? They have to understand. They have to know. They have to, all this stuff. They're not going to. And there is a sense of you that knows that. There is a sense of you that knows that's not going to change. And that can be why you feel hopeless. Please don't. Those structures can't change to become what we need them to be because they don't have the capacity. They are set up in such a toxic way, on such a toxic foundation, that they literally have to crumble. As you're seeing the crumbling and the falling apart, don't be disheartened by that. It has to go because it's been built to speak to our egos. It's been built. Let's have a look at medicine for an example. Built, not at the beginning for sure, but for the last very long period of time, to tell you that you are not the authority over your body, that you do not know what is going on in your body. There is a person outside of you, the doctor, the nurse, the whoever, who knows more than you. Making sure that you don't trust your intuition, your feelings, making light of them, making fun of them, trying to teach us that the mind and the body are separate, that the body is this thing that will kind of kill you. If it can, it will turn on you and it will kill you. And so see how the messaging is so ego. So rather than open that door and shout into it all your waking hours of whatever and try and change it, close the door for a minute and come back into this middle space, okay, where you are. Now, there have been parts of the last 2 years that have really helped us to do that. And we have to look at the gifts of this time and not just that crumbling and the destruction and the pain and the loss. There are gifts too. There has been the encouragement and just the sheer have to have more alone time, have more quiet time. So a lot of people were deplatformed recently on Instagram, set people into a massive spin. Oh my God, what if I can't? For sure. Censorship is terrible. We must be aware of it, right? For sure. But also, if you have a look at, because it's time for you to be your own guide. You've got all the material. How many times Can you share the same a meme with just slightly different wording? How many times can you ping yourself into alarm about the VX? How many times? You've got it. You know it. This is the realm of ego. Ego goes, I haven't got enough information. I haven't got enough. I need more. I need more. I need more. Hang on. They said that in a slightly different way. I'll send that to my mother, and this time she'll understand it in a slightly different way. I'll send that off to that person because it's exhausting. Come into the center. This is where the solutions are. We've all been living in the realm of the problem. It's time to go to the solution. And that's the part where you can access you. So that's the quieter times. That's the times off social media. That's the times when you understand, okay, you know what? If the whole thing went tomorrow, I have enough information, I have enough resources, I can speak to people around me, and I will strengthen my own guidance system. Start to do that. Start to strengthen your own guidance system. And when you are in the center, now we have access to this other door. And in this aspect of our mind and in this aspect of the collective, because there's our own ego, there's collective ego. There's our own wisdom, right mind. There's collective wisdom, right mind. When we move into that part, now we suddenly see solutions. Now we suddenly see things from a different perspective. Here's why this is so important. So many people are waiting for others to wake up. What's happening is they keep going back into this part to try and bring them out, try and wake them up. And it feels like crap in there. I would say, okay, now your ego can hear this and can kind of construe it to go, so do I just close my door and pretend none of us? No, we don't ever pretend. We don't ever pretend. We just know that we already know about that. I already know about the side effects. I don't need 20 more videos, 15 more memes, 18 more podcasts and 64,000 more YouTube videos to tell me about the side effects. If I feel like watching them, great, do it. But don't live in that realm on purpose to think that you need it. Okay, so one of the things I was asked to talk about today was self-love and self-care, and that is prime. Get out of that collective ego and live in that center part where you can start to be aware of your own lens that you have on. Because let me tell you this, when you can remember who you are, then you can travel in the realm of ego without forgetting. Okay, so here's the difference. Two people watch the news. One person watches it and gets alarmed, horrified, frightened, goes, oh my God, look what's happening. The other person sits next to them and says, none of that's real. They both turn it off. This person walks away fine. This person walks away anxious and frightened for the rest of the day. They're both in the same experience. They're both having the same outer experience, but their inner experience is completely different. And this is what it means to live in the solution. I know it's a big topic. We'll just, just hear it, take in whatever you can. Don't necessarily go off to 100 questions. Just know this. When my inner world is no longer determined by my outer world, then I've won the fucking game. I've won. It's like, congratulations, 1,000 points, ding, 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 all the coins are flipping, and I go to the next level. Now, we all want to go to the next level, but our egos are saying to us, I can't go to that level till Auntie Thelma doesn't have the VX. I can't go to that level until ScoMo is no longer the Prime Minister. I can't go to that level while, until everybody's awake. If you're thinking that, if you're thinking any variation of that, if you're thinking even a millimeter of that kind of thought, you have forgotten who you are. You have forgotten who you are, and you are caught in your own ego. And the collective ego is constantly triggering your ego, and then we go into this collective sleep. But you don't have to be asleep within the illusion anymore, because that's the time that we're in. We are in a humanity rising. We are in a human ascension. It is guaranteed. It is happening. When will it happen? I don't know. When will it happen for you? When you start to allow it. It can start to happen now. It might have already. This is what I want you to know. This room of crazy fuckers and crazy messages, and it's getting more mental every single day, does not determine your ascension. It doesn't. It determines the collective ascension, yes. But that's the second thing I want you to remember. They are two different things. They are two different things. Your job is to foster and work on and allow your own evolution, your own evolving. And you do that by recognizing ego, choosing you, and allowing yourself to hear more and more clearly the guidance, the messages of this other side that has all of the wisdom in it. But we're undoing collectively and individually, because we plug into that when we come to the planet, right? We plug into that. We plug in. You come with a kind of like a cord, and you're plugged in to that collective ego. And don't underestimate your addiction to it. Don't underestimate your addiction to it. Start to move beyond the messaging. Start to live in the realm of, are you trying to frighten me with this message? Then don't attack out at that person. Go back into this middle part. Go back into this middle part and say, okay, so why is that frightening me? If it's frightening me, I've forgotten who I am. If I think that I am at the mercy of all of this, I have forgotten who I am. Now, we've all forgotten who we are. None of us otherwise would be enlightened masters, but we're in the remembering. We're in it. This is what this is. This is what this time is, the remembering of who we are. Those lower energies know that, and they keep going, no, come back here. Come back here. And so they take over both sides of the narrative. They're probably releasing just as many side effect videos as they are releasing videos of you're going to have it, because they just want you frightened. So take back your power. As you move along your life, it's not going to be all roses and, parades down the street. The stuff from that collective ego is going to come in. That's life. That's what you're here for. That's what you're here for, to navigate, to transform, to rise above. But when it comes in, you don't have to live in it anymore. You don't have to live in it anymore. This is what I'm saying. Live in the solution. So what do we want? What is the solution? What even is the problem? The problem is fear, conflict, manipulation, and we've forgotten who we are. That's the problem. When we've forgotten who we are, we can be manipulated. The solution then is peace, calm, love, and in our power. And you start to live the solution when you are able to reach for peace, for calm, for being in your power. And when you can choose love, when you can turn, when you can go in without being so deeply asleep that you don't realize you've gone into that room again. Right? And you can choose go, come back to me. Hang on, wake up, wake up. You could even do that. You go, wake up, wake up. In my book that's coming out soon, I've actually said in that ego is the greatest hypnotist in our minds, because ego plays around in there and goes sleep, and we forget who we are, we forget our power, and we swim around in the sludge of fear and problems and chaos and conflict, where we're frightened of each other. Perfect example. the other day, I'm thinking, I haven't been around anybody that's had the VX. I don't know that I want to be, because what if they're shedding something? What if I get sick? So woke up out of that quite quickly and said to myself, okay, so you didn't stop hugging, you didn't stop kissing, you didn't wash your hands any more than you normally do. You didn't do anything different than you normally do the whole of 2020 and 2021 because you are not frightened of getting sick. But now you're going to encounter someone who's had the VX and now suddenly you're frightened of getting sick. So see how we can wake up out of our own, oh, I was asleep there for a minute. But a lot of the times we can think, oh no, if we're aware that there's an agenda here, then we're awake. Oh, if I'm aware of the side effects of this VX and I'm like, oh no, I'm a sovereign being, I'm awake. You're not awake because you can say I'm a sovereign being. You're awake when you can live as a sovereign being. And that's what I'm saying. Live in the solution. Live in the center. That's where you reside. Okay. And know that when you've gone into this part, and so a lot of self-care is get off social media. Stop following the posts that constantly trigger the fuck out of you. Now, look, I'm not saying don't follow anyone that doesn't trigger you. Again, that's ego. Get rid of the stuff that really triggers you. And because it's so black and white, extremes, ego's extreme. So then ego says, oh, so is the solution like don't be around anybody that triggers you? No. The solution is come into the center, ask yourself, why does this trigger me so much? I've noticed that if I watch big long slabs of video that have this emotive music and the voiceover like it's, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about. They annoy me and it doesn't even matter what they're saying. And I realized what annoys me is the way they're presenting it to me. Don't present it to me like I'm 4. Don't present it to me like some adult, kind of romper room. Present it to me like I'm an intelligent person. Just share it. Just share. You can be charismatic. You can be, you can be charismatic. You can have good video effects, but just share it with me like I'm an adult. And then I'll go, okay, all right. I'll see what I think about that. So we take that and we sit with it in that center lane. What do I think about it? What do I think about it? If we want help, go to this side. What is it telling me? What do you want me to know? How can I transform this? This is who we are. This is what we're here for. Like keep moving up, further up, further out, further down, moving along. Get the material. What's here for me? What's here for me? What's here for me? Where is my power? Where is my power? Where is my power? Right? This is living in the solution. And a lot of what I've said, if you listen back over, is self-love. Self-love is not staying in the crazy, in the chaos, trying to pull everybody out. Because if you think that anything needs to happen in order for you to have the experience that you need to have, you've forgotten who you are. It's really the premise of my whole entire book. And I was not talking about 2020. I was not talking about the CV. I was not talking about the crazy time descending. I was talking about my own life. I was talking about my own relationships and the experiences that I was having, feeling stuck in my job, stuck in so many things. And I kept thinking, this needs to happen first, this needs to happen first, this needs to happen first. So when a friend said to me recently, how are you like so together during this time? Because it's just on the outside what I have learnt a level of mastery over on the inside. And so I'm just applying it. So let me see if I've covered most of what I wanted to cover. And then I do have 2 things I want to speak to, but I'm going to have a look at your comments. So write in any questions that you have about anything I've said or about that you want me to speak about. And I'm just going to make sure that I've covered what I wrote down at 4 a.m. this morning that I want to. So we are the solution. That's the big take home. We are the solution. We cannot experience the new earth that we want to, the earth that is the planet that is inclusive and respectful and loving and is of a higher vibration than what we currently are, if we are not that, we're going to birth that, right? So the planet will evolve. The planet will evolve regardless, either with us on it or with us off it. The planet will evolve. Our own evolution will match it, and we will go along with her if we can do that. But that doesn't require everybody to come along. Do your work. That's self-love. That's self-care. That is knowing that you are always, always more important than anything on the outside. Now, that's going to send ego into a massive spin and go, oh my God, that's like narcissism 101. No, it's not. Not when you actually, not from the way that I'm talking about. I'll just leave that there as it is and not go too far into it, because we'll do more work on that. So we are the solution. We're going to birth it. We're going to live it through us by how we already are now. So the individual has to come first, because that is what will clear our perceptions and our lenses so that we actually can start to see the new world evolve. The new earth, not the NWO. Don't keep running back into the collective ego to pull people out. Okay, that's exhausting, it's tiring, and it's disrespectful. Stand where you are, live your life, and shine. Stand in your power and shine so that they see you, they start coming to you. They start to be drawn to you. Okay, let me see what questions there are before I go to the two that I already had written down. So, hi everyone, lovely that you were able to be here. Start to live, so predominantly living in our ego. Yeah, beautiful. Writing that down for Jess. Yes, Jess. Auto captions on the save. Yes. It's lovely to have you here, Jess. I'm sorry they don't, although if they came up now, they would hide the comments. Okay. Great. Thanks, Verena. Hi, Sue. You know what's hard? Having a new baby. Ooh, sister, I can well imagine. And the fear that's put in you for not taking. Yes. So I used to be a nurse, so I was not in your position, but I fully understand the power and the pressure and the manipulation and the fear of the messaging. I get that. That is really hard. All I can say to you is stand firm in your knowing. And if you have any questions, obviously medical folk are not the people to ask, but there are some brilliant accounts. Official Ellie Gray, although I don't know what she's called now because she was deplatformed. I might put that in the comments, is one of them. There's some great accounts that will really help you make up your own mind, and then please trust that you're the best guide that your child can have. I don't wash my hands either, toilet, and that's it. Yes, recognize you've been treated. Okay, please write down if you have any questions, and I'm going to read out something that was sent to me, and I'm going to use it. Yeah, I hope that helps. Molwis. Instagram handles are just, you think, oh. I hope that's helpful to you, and I will, do you know what, DM me if you don't already have some good accounts that you follow, and I will send Molly DM me, and I will get you started, because then you'll find the ones that really resonate. Okay, so let me read this out to you. It's a beautiful example of self-love and how we forget, and how ego tries to all the shoulds and coulds and what I have to do at this time. Because this might be controversial to say, but I don't try and wake people up. Is it terrible to say that I'm just too tired? I just think it's something I've learnt early in my life. It's definitely something I did a lot of, and I'm kind of glad that I'm not doing it now. Okay, so this person wrote to me. I just wish we had a solution. But I feel the only solution is everyone stop complying. Otherwise, we're stuck in this and helpless. Now, there's truth in everyone stop complying and it ends today. Totally. The ego aspect of this statement is otherwise we are stuck in this and helpless. So we are never helpless because we are never victims, but the ego is. The ego is a massive victim, and we know that anytime we feel victimized and victim-like, and anytime we forget our power, anytime we're stuck in something and we're like, I just cannot see a way out of this, and we all know that feeling. We all know that feeling, and we're dealing with big grown-up stuff here. I mean, this is like big stuff we're dealing with. So definitely don't ever be down on yourself about feeling that. But we know that, okay, I'm in ego at the moment, and ego just doesn't deal in the realm of solutions. It just doesn't. It's beyond its capability, right? But you can. And so you move to that center part and you go, okay, how can I find ways that I'm not stuck? See, if you're going to focus on the collective, you're always going to find people who are stuck, because some people aren't going to come along, and you're always going to find people who are helpless. But that doesn't mean you are. Okay, that doesn't mean you are. So see how when we go into that collective ego door, when we open that door, and in there we've got all the yelling and everybody's thoughts and everybody's fears pinging around, and we've got arguments and conflict, and we've got a lot of crazy and chaos. When we go into it, we think that's life, and it's not. I promise you that is not life, and I promise you that is not your mind when it's at its finest, okay? That is your mind when you still think you are that, and you are not that. So when we go in there, we're going to find a whole heap of stuck people and helpless people. But close the door when it's just like, that's too much. And whether that's at your work, whether that's when you turn the TV off, when you come home from work, okay, now I'm in that middle lane. And I'm anxious at all of the stuck and helplessness I'm seeing. Okay, breathe. Am I stuck? Well, I can go for a walk. Well, I can talk to somebody who's not. Am I helpless? No, I'm pretty aware. Okay, I can't be helpless if I'm aware. I know how to access things to help me figure this out. You're not stuck and you're not helpless. Don't focus on all the billions that are, because you're going to not see all the ones that already aren't, and you're going to keep taking yourself out of your power because of what everyone else is doing. And that isn't going to help ascension, because if you can walk through your day knowing you're not stuck and you're not helpless, then you shine that out to people, and that is way more powerful than any meme you can share on social media. Okay? Because the meme sharing now, look, I'm not against it. I'm not against it. Do it myself. Love some of them. They're great. But the meme sharing just makes us go, yeah, that's clever. The seeing someone living it makes us go, I can do that. I can do that. A meme has never made me think I can do that. But seeing someone do it, having someone share with me how they did it, that lets me know. Okay, then it goes on. The only time conversations are great is when you're talking with someone you can exchange information with. So then have a lot of those. Have many. But then you don't feel that productive because you're preaching to the choir. This isn't about being productive. Look, I know some people are doing it. I know some people spend their whole day out there educating to, I don't do it, and I would have to say, if it in any way tires you, it's not the right thing for you, then you know it's not the right thing for you. The right thing for you to be doing at this time, at this point in time, will light you up. Yes, there will be fear from all of us, there is. Yes, there is doubt. There is doubt. We all, like, sometimes I still wake up and think, okay, is this just me having one massive bad trip? Right, because I mean, I do know from a spiritual perspective, there's only one of us here. So then sometimes I think, is this just me? Is this just me swimming around in all of the aspects of my own madness? You know, there's all layers of this where sometimes we think, is that real? Is that not real? At what level is that? But it's when you are in the lane that you're meant to be in, it's not going to be exhausting. And so if you're talking to people and it's tiring you out, don't do it. Don't do it. So then it goes on. So the only time conversations are great is when you're talking with someone you can exchange information with. So do that a lot. But then you don't feel that productive. That is just your ego. That's the not enoughness. That's the I'm not doing enough. Okay, and that's that. You've activated ego and it's thoughts of I'm not doing enough. The only thing I get when that happens is that I know I'm not alone and I feel uplifted. So reach for that every time. What do you mean the only thing that happens is that you feel you're not alone and you're uplifted? Anything that makes you feel you're not alone and uplifted, do it a lot, many, 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 many times a day. It's hard not to feel self-defeated. It's that I'm using this as an example. There's nothing wrong with any of this, and it will describe how so many of you are feeling. It's that up and down. But I want you to start noticing that even in one sentence, the up, but, and the down. The up, but, and the down. And that's where the wisdom comes in. The person who wrote this is coming through, right? In her authenticity, and then there's a but, and then it goes into ego. But that means I'm not being productive. I'm feeling really, connected and uplifted, but there are not that many of us, right? Start to see that. Okay. And the other one I wanted to speak to you about was somebody who had mentioned to me that her partner hadn't wanted to get the VX, and then his parents are elderly, and his mother has said you can't see your dad without it, which is a big thing because he's unwell too. And so this person wants to be help, not just obviously wants to see his dad, but he also wants to be help in taking care of him. So this is a really good example. So this person who was telling me this, the partner, was saying, I feel so angry with the mother because she's forcing him into it. And here's what I want you to know. This is a planet of free will. No one is forcing anybody into anything. I know it looks like that. I know it looks like that. I know it often feels like that. That is not the truth of it. When you can move beyond that and start to recognize that that's not what's happening, you will really be in your power. That's part of that mastery. But what if this was the case? What if the mother and the wife are battling to see who wins? The wife says, I don't want him to have the VX. Understandably, I would feel the same way. The mother says, well, he has to. If he doesn't get to see his dad. And here's this person who has their own soul journey, their own journey in their own evolution, their own free will. Can you imagine if this would be the decider? That would be real hopelessness, helplessness, and victimhood. That would be real then. Because it would mean that energies that are more powerful than us can war it out, and whatever decision they come to, that's what we have to have, right? That all these now I know a lot of people feeling like that right now, like it is, well, they do get to decide. They don't, I promise you, they don't. But forget the collective part of it. Just think of it as these two women. The wife, the mother. The mother says, yes, you must have it. The wife says, I don't want you to have it. But the decision is his, and you must see that. That's the part I really want you to see. Not you must see that, but you must see that for this to make sense. If you can see yourself as you have that power, this man in this example has this power. Now, I know that the wife doesn't want him to have it, but in the scheme of things, I'm glad her having the power over him to stop him from having it would be as destructive as the person who has the power over him to have it. Can you see how that's the same? Can you see how if we take the details out, take the words out, we're left with kind of almost like we're left with the foundational lessons. We're left with the foundational tools. We're left we're left with where our power is, which is just like, am I handing it away or am I keeping it to myself? At the end of the day, he has the decision to make there. He has the decision to make there. And the wife being able to stop him, or the mother enforcing him to have it, interferes with a soul's journey. It's their decision at the end of the day. It's your decision at the end of the day. It's mine. So when you go back into that crazy ego chaos room and you start pulling people out, like you're throwing them out of a burning building, I'm glad that ultimately you can't mess with their soul's journey. But you can feel like you have responsibility over them, and I want to let you know you don't. Because this is a place of free will, and ultimately they get to decide whether they're coming out of that craziness, whether they're having the VX, whether they're not having it. It is all an individual decision. I know there's a lot of manipulation and there's a lot of coercion in all sorts of different areas. But that's the part we must recognize as an illusion. And we're going to know that more and more if we can turn to this side and have that guidance. And so all these accounts being closed on Instagram, it's terror. Like it's you know, we need to be awake and aware to what is happening. The agenda is real. There is no doubt about that. But the agenda does not determine your individual power. And so if you were to look for the silver lining of the fact that all of this could go, it could, then use this time wisely to set up your own access with your own knowing and your own wisdom, and start to move more to this side of your mind and of the collective. All right. Does anyone have any questions, any comments on what I've said? I'm going to keep it to under an hour. So we've got about another 10 or so minutes if anybody has any questions, any comments on anything I've said, let me know. How are you all feeling? Are you... Yeah. How are you? Where are you in the scheme of things, and how are you feeling? Quiet crowd, probably because I talk a lot. And so people feel like they can't, but you can, I promise. Hang on, I've got... That is all such a release. Hang on, what's that? Okay, I don't know what that is. Jane, what do you mean? Kath, hello. I totally recognise when there's authenticity and then ego. Yes, in the one thought. So you're doing great, Kath. So in the one thought, like... What I want you to know about your mind is that wisdom and love and insights never feel the need to explain, never feel the need to, come with a 15-minute kind of introduction into why I feel this way, and then a 15-minute, and this is why I feel this way. It just drops thoughts. It just will drop a truth. Or into your heart, or it will rise up through your body, or you just sense it, feel it, whatever. Hear it in a way that you haven't heard it before and go, oh my God, that's wisdom. Ego is the one that comes up with 1,000 reasons. And so it can seem like, well, if I've changed my mind on that, if I'm now aware and awake to that. So if I now know that the T person that was in power wasn't who I thought they were in either direction, then the B person that's now in power must be the way to go, or must be the one to attack. That whole energy, regardless of who these beings are and regardless of what they're representing, that whole energy is that ego old room stuff. And so I understand that when you open the door into that ego world in your mind and collectively as a planet, I understand that some of the conversations are smarter than they used to be. I understand that it can sound a bit different. But like I said, don't get so caught up in the details. Start to listen to how is it being presented. So if it's just, well, I no longer attack that person because I've changed my mind about them and I now attack that one. We haven't moved. I'm including all of us in that, myself. We haven't moved. We might be more aware of the agenda, but energetically we haven't moved. So we still can't create that place we want to create. We still can't ascend with the planet because energetically we haven't moved. It's certainly up to the individual, but is it okay to give them information? Yes, absolutely. Particularly if they ask for it, that would be the ideal. But actually, thank you for reminding me, Catherine. That is something I did want to mention in that comment about the only time conversations are great is when you talk with someone and you exchange information, then have that approach all the time. You know, I've had some great conversations with people about masks and non-masks, and they weren't about masks and non-masks. So I've walked into shops and, you know, we've just interacted, but we were talking like from a really respectful place, from the person saying, oh, God, it's so hard for me to breathe. And, you know, say the person serving me and me standing there without one and saying, yeah, I really feel for you. It must be really hard. You know, like it can't be healthy for you. And the person going, yeah, I don't think it is. Great. So that's all that was needed. That's all that was needed. I don't need to walk up to this person, scream sheep and say, get your mask off. Because how is that encouraging freedom? How is that encouraging me living as an example and encouraging this person to be in their power? Now, if the person said to me, oh, and people have said to me, oh, when did you stop wearing them? Why don't you? And then there's a conversation to be had. But this person, if the only time conversations are great is when you're talking with someone you can exchange information, then always come from that place. And if the person doesn't want you to exchange the information then don't. But if they do, yep, for sure. You'll feel it. You'll know when it's right. And also start to put yourself in the position of the people that you're speaking to. Like, would I want this from the other way? Would I want my sister or my whoever to send me 15 emails a day telling me about how many people have died from the CV and how important it is that I get the VX? Or would we like to is the ideal that we have a relationship that's mutually respectful of the fact that they are going to have it, I'm not going to have it, and we allow each other that space to be in our power and make our own decisions? Sue, my sister told my dad that if he has the jab and dies, she will die as well. No pressure. Jane, I mean, it's a release from the responsibility. Yes, it's tough to release the worry about humanity, but ultimately it's a release from feeling an obligation to speak up. The only time you need to speak up is when you feel that you need to speak up. If you see something, so basically like, when we first moved here, my husband, who's not white, had a car drove past and screamed out, "Go home, nigger," out of the car. And I haven't I didn't feel the need to ring every person I know and say, but I did write something on the local Facebook group. And I said, look, just calling this out, because if you see it, can you just call it out as well so that we can all sort of rise above this sort of thing. So you'll know when you're called, but you don't have to go. It's not so much about the message, it's about how you deliver it, that you don't have to go against yourself on. Okay, so you don't have to pretend that there's no elephant in the corner, but you can talk about the elephant in the way that feels right for you, that in the way that is authentic to your personality. My instinct is to mind my own business, and I feel more centered in my methodology having listened to this live. Love that, Jane. And Jane, the stuff that you're learning on nutrition, imagine how many people you're going to help. So really, you could start to post about that, or you could start to share that information with people, and that would be very empowering. Very empowering. We don't all have to talk about the same thing. Not negating those who want to have a respectful exchange. Absolutely. It's different to just pretending there's nothing going on. But we will each be individually activated and authentically activated. Activated meaning the inspiration will come to talk about it in the way we do, the way we want to. Now, I've got 3 minutes left, otherwise it won't save. And therein lies my power. Yes, beautiful. Someone close to me frequently reminds me that compassion will draw us closer together. Love that. Love that. Everyone, I'm sorry, but if we go over an hour, it won't save. So thank you for joining me. Any comments, please write them underneath. Unfortunately, the live comments don't save on the replay, which is a bugger. But any questions, any comments, pop them underneath. Any thoughts? And let's do it again soon. I hope you have a lovely Sunday. Thanks so much for joining. And if you're listening to the replay, much love to you all. And let's start to live in the solution, embody the solution. We are the solution. Thank you, everybody. Much love. Bye.